Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. The Vital 7-port USB 3.0 hub with power switches and pretty little blue lights to tell you that it's active. And if things don't work, well, maybe it's your device. Maybe it's the port. I have 3 ports on this that are worn. This thing's only 18 months old. And I already have 3 ports that have gone flaky because they're just worn. You know, and it's like, okay. But it's 3 ports that things got plugged in a lot, you know, in and out, in and out. 3 of my other ports well, the other 4 ports actually, they were just like, 3 of those ports were just period. Plug it in, leave it there. And the other port just never got used, so it's still just like brand spanking new. But 3 of these ports are definitely worn. And to the point where I can't even hardly get my iPhone to mount as a continuity camera half the time. So I'm like, okay, let's switch to a different port. So we only got one other known good port here, and it's like, aha, great, it works again. But 18 months of lifespan, and the ports are starting to go because, you know, they've been plugged in and plugged out a few times. That's pretty unacceptable quality control there. You know, I mean, the 2-amp power delivery system, I know how to use a computer device. So I know that, hey, I've got 2 amps, and I know that with every port it's going to divide that amperage across to the next one and the next one. So I know I got to watch what's plugged in. But you can fill every single port at once. It's not a problem. Just make sure that the power switches are off for the devices you don't need at the time. And you're not going to have all 7 devices turned on at once. It's not going to happen. 2 amps is not enough juice for that, okay? So, anyways, you need more. If you really want to have everything active, then be prepared to pony up the dough for a seriously expensive high-end hub, if that's the kind of person you are, in which case you wouldn't even be looking at these things. So yeah, that kind of negates the purpose. Anyhow, there are good points and bad points about everything, right? I love the switches, and they are definitely quality switches. The ports look nice and pretty, but they do tend to wear, obviously. 18 months, and 3 of them are kind of kafooey. This plug unit, if you're going to plug this hub in and use it and never move it, then fine. That's an okay connection point in that case. We do know we have these kind of connectors on external drive cases that can run an SSD or an HDD in them, and some other devices I've seen actually have this kind of a plug. This is a stupid plug. It really, honestly, is the dumbest plug system ever. They should have just integrated the cable. That would have been the better solution. Kind of like my new one's got an integrated cable. But this plug system is definitely a weak point, which I kind of had a feeling it would still be the same weak point. I've got a couple of those drive cases that have that plug in. And those things were pretty much done for, I don't know, maybe about the 10th or 15th time I've plugged it in and unplugged the cable. Because some things I just don't leave online all the time, right? And I'm switching drives out in the cases and stuff. And those plugs do wear. This kind of a plug does wear actually quickly if you're just in and out and in and out. So this is not a hub that you want to buy if you're going to be, you know, portable with it all the time, and you're always, you know, unplugging, plug in, unplug, plug in. This kind of a plug is not that great. In fact, on anything, you know, you're going to find its weakest link is the movement area in here, right? And that biggest culprit is the narrow side, okay? So now with me, I had it plugged in stationary, and I had it taped up the same way my new hub is, and it's mounted, and so the tension pulled this way on the cable to get to the back of my computer, which means the little problem guy, he's on the other end, which is fine. It stays stiff, and the other side is a really good connection point. Why they can't make both equal in being quality, we don't know. But 2-amp power delivery system 2, any hub that's powered, and I do only recommend powered hubs on computers, especially if you're wanting to plug stuff in, okay? Otherwise stuff can go wrong with your computer. We've talked about this in videos. But with powered hubs, I mean, you got to watch the amperage too. This is a 2-amp power supply that comes with it. I mean, good quality power supply. The hub looks the part, but unfortunately the only thing that's really quality here on the entire hub is the switches and the LED lights. These ports, I mean, 3 of them are now flaky after them being the ones that were used the most, you know, with flash drives or an external drive of some sort. It's the only thing that was ever used in it. The hub does not have enough power delivery to run a external CD burner, you know, unless that burner has a separate power supply of its own, then you should be okay. But to run my Apple Super Drive, even with only one thing, it's not enough. Hubs and Super Drives apparently don't get along. You have to go direct to the computer with a Super Drive, and it's more not just the amperage; it's something else with them, and I don't know, but it's the way it works. But either way, 7 ports, not bad. $20 was okay at the time because it was on sale. But I would say probably, I don't know, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it 3 as the final review. It definitely gets a 3 out of 5 because the longevity of the ports is not there if you're using them a lot, okay, like in and out kind of thing. If you're going to set this thing up and fill up every slot and not touch them, except for the switches obviously for activating certain devices. You have to know the amperage draw of your devices too, otherwise you're going to find you're going to have some issues. So, easy way to resolve. Turn something off and hey, stability's back. Anyways, just because something is powered and just because it has the switch control or even no switch control doesn't mean you can fill up all those slots at once and have everything mounted at once. It kind of doesn't work that way, at least not on cheap hubs. If you spent about $500 or $600 on a hub, you might get a hub that has enough power delivery system to be able to handle that, okay? So, but in this case, not for $20, baby, okay? Not even my new $50 hub can actually handle all 7 things turned on at the same time. You can plug them all in, but you can't have them all physically turned on at the same time. So, but I do recommend hubs though, regardless, that do have the on and off switches. They are definitely a lifesaver, especially if you need to fill all those slots, even though you might not be using all those devices at once. That is an ingenious idea with the power switch control. I like that part on any of the hubs. But this thing has to get pegged down to 3 out of 5. And I would only recommend it for those that are stationary setups. And I was stationary, but the problem was I had 3 of the ports that were always in and out being used. 1 port I never did actually use, and the other 3, well, they were just plugged in and left there, so no wear and tear on those ports whatsoever. So technically I have 4 out of 7 ports that have no wear and tear, and the other 3 are flaky at best. So, longevity for in and out stuff, not there, okay? So, and of course the cable, although I never had a problem with this cable because it was stationary, it got plugged in once, set up, done. Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem in that sense. But these type of plugs on any device is stupid. I don't know why they do it. They're garbage connection points. They really are, honestly, okay? They could have done something better, like a printer cable port connection, or integrate the cable, or something just that's better than that, because even on drives I've had, these things go flaky fast, you know? So, yeah, I got a couple of those kicking around that actually need to meet the garbage can soon. But, yeah, so after 18 months, that's what we go to with this one. I really don't think that it's the best solution out there, but for me it worked in a pinch. It's worked for the last 18 months. I tried to do an upgrade once before to a Fiexero or whatever you pronounce it hub. It's on my channel. That one was more money, but it didn't have power switch control, so I had to watch what I plugged in. But that one, it didn't even last a month, and the power delivery system died in it. Okay, and it was a powered hub as well, except with that one you had to supply your own power supply, which I did have one that met the requirements, and that was fine, but it didn't survive. So now we're into an Atola hub, and we're trying that out. It's a $50 hub. Now these are all Canadian prices, keep that in mind, okay? And actually the Atola one that I just bought is now on sale for $36.69. Think Amazon would give me the difference back? Probably not. Anyways, you know, so far it's doing well. But it's only been a few days, so hey, we gotta wait for. We still gotta do a main review on it. First impression, though, I like that new one. Okay, it's really nice. Integrated cable, heavy duty power supply, and power supply cable is pretty heavy duty. So yeah, so far so good though. You know, this was on sale for $20, and I think it retails for about $40-50 at the source. But I only paid $20 for it on sale, so it's like, well, I guess we do get what we pay for a lot of times. But then again, the Fiexo cost me more money, and it didn't even survive a month. So we're kind of, you know, guinea pigging life here, right? It's just the way it goes. So pegged it down, that's where you get 3 out of 5. But don't buy, if you have to buy this just to get you through till you can afford a better hub, okay. Just be aware that plugging in and unplugging all the time is going to wear those ports down pretty quick. Okay, so that's the only thing that I've got to say, that yeah, that's the baddie. But if you just plug it and leave it, it's going to be fine. But the only thing then you got to watch is how many things you turn on at once with any hub. You know, I mean, unless we can start getting hubs that have like 20 amps worth of juice to them, which would be ideal, you know, and then you spread that across all the ports, well, then we can run everything all at once, kind of thing. Right? That would be idealistic. I don't know why they don't just do it that way. I mean, that's the whole point of powered hubs, is to be able to run more devices at the same time. But if we can't run all 7 because there's not enough amperage, well, that's a problem, you know. So anyhow, but I guess we only get that stuff if we spend the big bucks, right? So, and not all of us are that filthy rich. I certainly am not. Anyways. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but I think that if you're going to just plug it in, leave it, don't disturb it at all, fine. I'm still leaving it at 3 though, because you got to keep in mind, it does have that side effect problem where the switches are quality, the lights are quality, the case isn't too bad, the plug, well, you know, don't plug it in and out too many times, because then that's definitely going to be a problem. You know, as far as the connection point for the power supply, I mean, it's not bad. You know, it's pretty good. Never had an issue with that. Plug and go, right? But the ports wearing out like that, that's not acceptable. And you know as well as I do that most of us, we're plugging stuff in and out anyways because of USB sticks or whatever, right? Or we want to hook an external drive up because we don't want the inconvenience of getting to the back of our computer, or maybe our computer ports like my Mac Mini are all full, so that's why I need a hub, right? And the hub chews up one of those ports. So, yeah, we need hubs, right? We don't get enough ports on anything. But, yeah, in a pinch, fine. Still fine even at a 3-star, but just keep in mind those ports, the lifespan is going to be about 18 months per port if you're doing a lot of plugging in and unplugging. But when you just plug it and leave it, those ports are all still working fine, and the one port that was never used, well, it's still fine. But anyway, that's it, that's all. So sometimes we need an update review. This was one of them. So, but generally, I would probably say just put your money into something a little bit better, you know. To be honest, I mean, the Vital is nice, but they are cheap, okay? But you got to try things, because you never know. Sometimes you can get an actual cheaper device, and it's great, you know, instead of spending more money. But in this case, well, it's $20, and it's paid for itself, so now it can go to the garbage can where it belongs. I'll keep the power supply and repurpose it for something else, but you know, maybe I'll even pull the switches out. I don't know, because the switches are good for little projects that even I can do. So anyway, that's it. That's all. Thank you. See you later.